The Basilica of St. Mary of the Angels and the Martyrs is a titular basilica church in Rome, Italy, built inside the frigidarium of the Baths of Diocletian in the Piazza della Repubblica. The cardinal priest of the titular Ses Mariae Angelorum in Thermus is William Henry Keeler. Description: the basilica is dedicated to the Christian martyrs, known and unknown. By a brief dated 27 July 1561, Pius IV ordered the church built to be dedicated to the Beatissimi Virginae Omnium Angelorum et Martyrum. Impetus for this dedication had been generated by the account of a vision experienced in the ruins of the Baths in 1541 by a Sicilian monk, Antonio del Duca, who had been lobbying for decades for papal authorization of a more formal veneration of the angelic princes. A story that these martyrs were Christian slave laborers who had been set to constructing the baths is modern. It was also a personal monument of Pope Pius IV, whose tomb is in the apsidal tribune that culminates the series of spaces. The Thermae of Diocletian dominated the Quirinal hill with their ruined mass and had successfully resisted Christianization. Michelangelo Buonarrota worked from 1563 to 1564 to adapt a section of the remaining structure of the baths to enclose a church. Some later construction, directed by Luigi Vanvitelli in 1749, only superficially distracts from the grand and harmonious Michelangelesque volumes. At Santa Maria degli Angeli, Michelangelo achieved an unexampled sequence of shaped architectural spaces with few precedents or followers. There is no true facade. The simple entrance is set within one of the coved apses of a main space of the Thermae. The vestibule, with canted corners and identical side chapels, one chapel has the tomb of Salvator Rosa, the other of Carlo Marita, leads to a second vestibule, repeated on the far side of the transept, dominated by the over-life-size St. Bruno of Cologne by Jean-Antoine Houdin. Of the St. Bruno, Pope Clement XIV said that he would speak, were it not for the vow of silence of the order he founded. The great vaulted transept gives a striking display of the magnificent scale of Roman constructions, 90.8 meters long, and with the floor that Michelangelo raised to bring it up to the Seicento street level, 28 meters high. Raising the floor truncated the red granite Roman columns that articulate the transept and its flanking spaces. Michelangelo made the transept 27 meters wide, thus providing vast cubical spaces at each end of the transept. In 2006, Polish-born sculptor Igor Mitaraj created new bronze doors as well as a statue of John the Baptist for the basilica. In April 2010, a 5-meter-high bronze statue of Galileo Galileo Divine Man was unveiled in a courtyard within the complex. The statue was a donation from CCAST and WFS. Santa Maria degli Angeli was the official state church during the Kingdom of Italy. More recently, national burials have been held in the church. The church hosts the tombs of General Armando Diaz and Admiral Paolo Thaun di Revel, who were the commanders responsible for winning World War I on the Italian front. Also today, the basilica is used for many ceremonies, included the funeral of soldiers killed abroad. The Meridian line. At the beginning of the 18th century, Pope Clement XI commissioned the astronomers, mathematician, archaeologist, historian and philosopher Francesco Bianchini to build a meridian line, a sort of sundial, within the basilica. Completed in 1702, the object had a threefold purpose. The Pope wanted to check the accuracy of the Gregorian reformation of the calendar, to produce a tool to predict Easter exactly, and, not least, to give Rome a meridian line as important as the one Giovanni Domenico Cassini had recently built in Bologna's Cathedral, San Petronio. Alan Cook remarked, "The disposition, the stability and the precision are much better than those of the famous meridian." In Bologna, this church was chosen for several reasons. Like other baths in Rome, the building was already naturally southerly oriented. so as to receive unobstructed exposure to the sun. The height of the walls allowed for a long line to measure the sun's progress through the year. More precisely, the ancient walls had long since stopped settling into the ground, ensuring that carefully calibrated observational instruments set in them would not move out of place, and because it was set in the former baths of Diocletian, it would symbolically represent a victory of the Christian calendar over the earlier pagan calendar. Bianchini's sundial was built along the meridian that crosses Rome, at longitude 12 degrees 30 E, at solar noon, which varies according to the equation of time from around 10:54 am UTC in late October to 11:24 am UTC in February. The sun shines through a small hole in the wall to cast its light on this line each day. At the summer solstice, the sun appears highest, and its ray hits the meridian line at the point closest to the wall. At the winter solstice, the ray crosses the line at the point furthest from the wall. At either equinox, the sun touches the line between these two extremes. The longer the meridian line, the more accurately the observer can calculate the length of the year. The meridian line built here is 45 meters long and is composed of bronze, enclosed in yellow-white marble. In addition to using the line to measure the sun's meridian crossing, Bianchini also added holes in the ceiling to mark the passage of stars. Inside the interior, darkened by covering the windows, Polaris, Arcturus and Sirius were observed through these holes with the aid of a telescope to determine their right ascensions and declinations. The meridian line was restored in 2002 for the tricentenary of its construction, and it is still operational today. Cardinal protectors since 1844. Since 1844, the following men have served as Cardinal Protector of Santa Maria degli Angeli e dei Martiri: Domenico Carafa della Spina di Traietto, Lajos Hainold, Anton Joseph Grusha, Gennaro Granito Pignatelli di Belmont, Alfonso Mastrangelo, School, P. Jean-Marie Rodrigue Villeneuve, OMI, Paul Emile Ledger, PSS, William Henry Keeler, Burials, William Chisholm, Salvatore Rosa, General Armando Diaz, Admiral Paolo Thaun di Revel,